Council Bluffs today on location, sometimes in order to make contact with a really busy person, you got to go to them, and that's what we did today. This is Donnie Woods, owner of Rustic Cuts here, where we are recording at, but also head football coach at St. Albert. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
You have to be trying to figure out how to juggle everything right now, huh?
Yep, I have a good wife. But no, in all honesty, and I have two young kids, and so when we took this on, we knew there was going to be some constraints and things I had to do, but ultimately, I feel like we've got it all worked out and got to a flow. But the biggest thing for me when taking this on was the staff here. And I had worked with these guys previously. So this probably 2 years ago, I would wake up, come down here at 5 a.m. and cut meat with these guys. And I knew we had a great team here. And so I wasn't so concerned about that. So when we took over day one, it was a pretty smooth transition. They knew me, they knew how I operated. And so that's been probably the easiest part of this entire thing. It's just empowering the people that I've had around me to continue on to what they're doing. And so it's been fun.
I had a chance to talk with a mutual friend just recently, Travis Waldstein, and we were equating sports to business.
Yep.
And if there's anybody more qualified to talk about that than you, I don't know who it is, because you got both things going on at the same time. A lot of things that you do here at Rustic Cuts and putting a team together, getting people in individual roles that they can then serve. Well, that just translates over onto the football field, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And, for us as a football coach, I've always said, once again, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and empower them. Let them go out and make mistakes, right? I want these guys to go right to the edge here, push us as far as we can go. And we're going to fail in some things that we do. But ultimately, I want them to know that I believe in them. And it's the same thing with coaching a kid out on the high school field. Like, I want to push that kid to the edge. I want him to feel a little stress, a little strain, because that's when we're going to grow. But I also want him to feel empowered that, hey, he wants to make that decision to get better. And so I've taken a lot of things that I've learned from my playing days and my coaching days and applied them here, and vice versa, right? This business is very process oriented. And so I think there's a back and forth too that translates over to my job as a coach and making sure that we're covering everything from A to Z to be successful on a Friday night.
Is it year 4?
This will be year 4 for me at St. Albert.
Year 4 coming in. So what that means then is there are some of the young people that were just coming into the program that you now have as seniors. And so you can get a really clear view of just how well that program is working and how well everyone has adapted to it.
Absolutely. We'll have 9 seniors this year. And we've been averaging, 2 to 3 every single year. And I think the team that won state Class A last year had 22 seniors. So if you can be old, whatever sport you're in, and this goes back to even my days at Iowa Western. On Iowa Western, when we won our first national championship in 2012, there was only 2 true freshmen. This is a junior college. We're only true freshmen and sophomore play, but there was only 2 true freshmen that started that year for us. And so I've always thought, okay, if you can develop kids, keep them around, and you have an older roster, you're going to be successful. And so would I imagine it the way it started for us, getting our teeth kicked in there early on, and to where we're at right now, we've made leaps and strides, but a lot of that is just physically maturing, mentally maturing. And so I'm hopeful for a great season this year.
You have, it's a tough job coming in and knowing that, all right, we don't have a lot of upperclassmen here. And you had some talented ones. I remember that season.
Yeah.
There were some really good, talented players there. But at the same time, working on the present, building for the future, are those two things congruent, or do sometimes they conflict?
Yeah, I think sometimes they'll conflict a little bit. And so I had to, the standard is super high at St. Albert for football. I mean, it's a place that it's still one of the top 10 winningest programs in the state of Iowa. And, they really had a heyday from 2000 really to, 2020 when they made a dome appearance. And so when I came in, I had to address the expectation in the room. And the expectation for us, when I walked in my first team meeting and I looked out there, and this isn't a knock on anybody, but we looked at our roster and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, this kind of feels more like a middle school football team than it does a high school football team at this point. We were small, we were weak, we weren't very fast. and they just lack some, some football development. And so I thought I had to reset the expectation of, listen, I don't care about the wins and losses this year. All I care about is we go out there and we fight our tail off. Like, I want to see us compete. I want to see us have fun, but no matter what the score is, we aren't going to give up. And I thought setting that standard for the guys in that year was a great expectation. And we could go and find clips of that on every Saturday morning and Sunday when we were watching the team. Like, you were down 3 scores, but watch this effort here. We were down 2 scores. Look at this guy and the fight he has. And so that was really the repouring of the foundation, I thought, was just to go out there and give great effort, believe in the guy next to you. And so we've slowly built on that. And so now, the level of expectation for effort is there. They're exceeding that. They've gotten bigger, faster, and stronger, all those things that happen, simply from their development in the weight room, but also just general maturity. And now when you look at our roster, even though we're 35, I have 35 of the toughest kids at St. Albert. They look the part, they're confident. And I think all of that will translate here, even though it's been a long journey to get to this point. If we stay healthy, I think it'll pay its dividends here this fall.
Jason James, Yvette Perdue, and Jake Stander are JPS Realty Group, your friends in real estate, based in Council Bluffs and serving clients across Council Bluffs, Omaha, and beyond. They help buyers and sellers move forward with local knowledge and personal guidance from the first showing through closing. When it's time to find a home or sell the one you own, put the JPS team to work for you. Learn more at jps.heartlandproperties.com. If you're looking for a laid-back spot with great food and even better company, it's the Mile Away on Old Lincoln Highway north of Council Bluffs. This family-run bar and grill is your go-to for mouth-watering wings, unbeatable weekly specials, and a welcoming atmosphere that feels like home. So, if you're catching a game, enjoying one of those specials, or just unwinding after a long day, the Mile Away has you covered. Open every day, Tuesday through Sunday at 8 for breakfast, and don't forget them at lunch and dinner time as well. It's the Mile Away, Old Lincoln Highway, north of Council Bluffs. Council Bluffs Today brought to you by GLI Insurance Group. Summer in Southwest Iowa means road trips, backyard projects, storms, lake weekends, and a whole lot more time on the go. Before the season gets too busy, make sure your insurance is ready for it. GLI Insurance Group can help you review your home, auto, business, farm, and life insurance so you know what is covered before you need it. Local people, local service, and coverage built around your life. Contact GLI Insurance Group today and head into summer with a little more peace of mind.
And also, keeping kids, this didn't used to be a thing at the high school level, but it is now, that keeping your players inside of the program and not transferring someplace else, that's a different kind of battle.
It is. It's a tough battle. I think it starts in youth sports and the culture, where mommy and daddy can go out and buy a team for you, where you're definitely going to play someplace. When they walk in as freshmen, it's the first time in their entire life that they are competing now with somebody who's 3 or 4 years older than them. It's the first time that they've truly had to maybe sit behind somebody. And so we cover that in our opening parent meeting with them. Is like, this is the toughest year of football for you freshmen. This is going to be the toughest year at home for them. They're going to come home, they're going to want to quit because it's the first time they had to sit. And sitting's not fun, but it also teaches you a few things, right? There's people out there who are better than you, and the only way you can work and get in front of them is to outwork them or outperform. And so we lean into that a little bit, but this is just the culture of our world. And I think as a coach, you either adapt or you die. And I've had to adapt just with my patience of that, because, to me, I was a good football player, but I wasn't overly talented. And at the University of Maryland, I had to sit for over 2 years before I stepped foot on that gridiron. And that was a daily process. That's lifting, that's weights, that's film. Those are practices. It took me 2 years. So I'm really not that patient when kids are like, oh, coach, I'm a freshman and I haven't seen the field yet. It's like, I understand what they're going through, and I was frustrated too, but ultimately going through that process and how tough it is, you develop a confidence about yourself, but you understand finally what work ethic means in obtaining something that you're working for. And so it is difficult in today's world and today's culture where, they grow up and everything is, they play every single game and they, and it's different. It's something that we've all had to overcome as coaches, I think.
I've done a lot of sports interviews in my life. Used to be a sports director at different media outlets. So a lot of the stuff I ask is just cliches.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what it is.
Right.
And I understand that. But still, at the beginning of the season, when you first start having those meetings, every coach that I've ever had said, all right, let's set some goals. We were all involved with that goal setting to see, okay, what is it that we want to be able to achieve this year? Do you just set it at, okay, we want to make it back to the dome, we're putting the goal there? Or do you put tiers in on the way there in order to achieve it?
So I tell you this, I think early on in my coaching career, I always set goals with my players as it related to wins and losses and performance and outcomes. And there's not on the back end of that, there's not yes, winning makes you feel good. But in terms of, if I'm just doing this to win, there's not a lot of reward on the back end, right? So for us, when I came there, I said, you know what, we're going to build men of faith, we're going to excel in the classroom, and we're going to impact our community. And so that's our overall goal. I mean, we don't talk about wins or losses. That is it. Now, to say that we don't talk about we want to win this game, no, that's not what I'm saying. But when we establish what our goal is and the framework of our program, that's what it is at its roots. If we're doing those three things, we are winning because we're preparing men for life. And then the football stuff, it falls into play, right? So if they're doing what they need to do in the classroom, a lot of times you'll see that transition onto the football field. If they're, doing what they're supposed to do and getting back into our community and volunteering, you'll see that kid be one of the better teammates on the field. So I think there's a lot of correlation there, but in terms of setting our goals, we have, this is the foundation of our program. And then we have what we do at the very beginning, like you're talking about, set the goals with the team. Like, okay, what do we want to accomplish? And last year was like, coach, we haven't hosted a home playoff game since 2018 or something like that. And I said, okay, if we want to put that as our goal, right, we can set that as well. And so sometimes those things hurt you too. So I think we accomplished that last year. And when we did, that was week 7, we kind of took a deep breath. It's oh, we did, so we accomplished our goal. And it's wait, you guys are pretty darn good here. Let's see this thing through. And I thought setting that goal last year, maybe it hurt us a little bit because we achieved it relatively early in the season. And I think we kind of just took the foot off the gas a little bit. So goals can hurt you and help you, but at the end of the day, we focus on what our main foundation is at our program. That's building men of faith, academic excellence, and making an impact in our community.
And the other piece that fits into that puzzle too is the St. Albert faithful. I mean, which they're passionate.
Yeah.
I have been there to games more than once, called games there, and know just how much support you can get coming out of the stands.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I took the job. I mean, I think my faith led me there, but ultimately knowing the passion that they have for football is something that was I think if we can get that going again, it's one of those things with momentum that it's hard to stop. And so I think our progress has excited a lot of people. Our stands are packed again. It's a great environment. We play at Iowa Western, but this year we'll play our homecoming game back at Al Lieber. And it's just one of those things where they truly love football and they want their football program to be successful. And I respect that. And honestly, for me, it's that sets a bar for me, right? We want to perform, we want to do well, but knowing how supportive you feel, when you're walking around in the community or after a game and they knew, they're a smart community too, right? So knowing what we were going to go through my first and second year and people after the game, the compliments, hey, we know this is much different than what we've seen in the last couple of years. We support, this is great. We love it. We love the fight. We love the energy. It's really kept this thing going.
Three sisters, one simple idea. Better skincare starts with honest ingredients. Courtney, Kaylee, and Morgan have created real honest tallow right here in Southwest Iowa, handcrafting every small batch with beef tallow and thoughtfully selected oils. The result is rich, simple hydration for dry skin and sensitive skin. Available in inviting scents or the unscented Bare formula. A little goes a long way. Give your skin something honest at realhonesttallow.com. Council Bluffs is built on local relationships, and so is Avela Bank. Whether you're managing everyday finances, growing a business, or planning what comes next, Avela's local team is ready to help you work toward financial success. Visit Avela Bank downtown at 117 Pearl Street or at 237 Bennett Avenue. Learn more at avela.bank. Local people serving local needs for more than 150 years. Avela Bank, member FDIC.
I'm thinking of all kinds of things. Playing one game back on the grass, as opposed to.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a lot of places now have turf, so you
Yeah.
probably get used to that. But it's a different type of ball game when you're playing on grass.
Yeah.
Than on the turf.
It is, weather plays a factor, the humidity and the dew at night, after halftime, there's certain slickness to the ball and the grass. And, we're fortunate enough. It's, Class A football is probably one of the more protected classes in Iowa. They want those small town football games to still go on.
Mhm.
And so it's a really unique environment where we get to travel and play. I think, Al Lieber the field is an unbelievable place to play games. We had to move to Iowa Western just because to get a better surface. But ultimately, when we travel around to Akron, Westfield, and Logan, Magnolia, and you go in that place and, the whole place is surrounded with, they all have their lawn chairs out. It's a really, really unique environment. And I appreciate being able to coach at the Class A level.
I'm excited to see what the Falcons are going to do this year. You haven't started practice yet, is that right?
We've been busy. So Iowa rules allows you to work with your guys starting like June 1st. And so we've been working since June 1st, but it's really been no organized activities. Officially will be next Monday. Will be our first day and that's camp for us. And then we roll into preseason the following week. So it all escalates here pretty quickly, but currently the guys are in dead week and they've earned that dead week. We're excited for them to get going.
Looking at your district, what are your expectations with it this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think once again, at the Class A level, when your roster size is 35 to 40, right, you got to get your team to Friday night. So if you can get your team to Friday night healthy, you give yourself a chance. And so I think with a lot of our guys coming back, the expectation is high, right? And, Woodbury Central, we played them for the district championship last year, and they got the better half of us. We'll have to go up there at the end of the year again. And so, I think for the most part that, listen, we'll be super competitive in our district and I'm excited about the competition that we have in our district, but I'm really circling that calendar where we play Woodbury at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season. And it's, my opinion is a really strong St. Albert with the sports is good for Council Bluffs and always has been.
Yeah.
And that's what is exciting to watch the success that's back again and competing for those championships. Like you said, it was coming right down to it with Woodbury last year. So should be tons of fun. And grateful for your time today. Grateful for the new studio. Background looks better than mine.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, and as always, we're so grateful of everybody who covers sports in Southwest Iowa. I mean, I think you guys go above and beyond what anybody else in the state does, and it truly reflects. I mean, when you can excite kids about what's going on here in our community, they'll play football, right? And I think seeing the Harlans, the Lewis Centrals, the St. There's a lot of schools in this area that have a tremendous success, and I think part of that, in today's world, is getting these younger kids excited for that. So when they can hop onto YouTube or hop onto Facebook or TikTok and see high school football being covered in our areas as at the level it is, it helps us football coaches. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much for that. I know I've been in a lot of different places in the state. I know of one football team up in extreme Northwest Iowa that was just in a perennial doghouse every year. New coach came in, they went 500 next year and then made the playoffs the year after that.
Yeah.
And then we're competing for a state title every year that he was there with
Yeah.
Josh Lloyd. He just recently
Gotcha.
just wrapped things up there in Spirit Lake.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I said, also grateful to you for watching this episode of Council Bluffs today. You know, if you hit like, share, follow, maybe even subscribe, it pushes the information out even farther that Coach Woods was just talking about. More people can hear about what's going on at St. Albert and all the things that we have going on in our little corner of the world. So thank you very much in advance for doing that. This is Council Bluffs today. We are presented by Waldstein Plumbing. My name is Todd Studer, and we'll see you next time.